All right, so now we're going to look at the calculations. How do we calculate kinetic and potential energy? Let's first look at kinetic energy. And just as a reminder, we are on page 37 of your notes. So this is the equation for kinetic energy. Now, just like with the other equations, I will give you this equation so you don't have to remember it. But let's look at what these letters actually mean. So Ke is kinetic energy, m is mass, v is velocity. So v is actually going to be this number, whatever this is going to be multiplied by itself because it's raised to the second power. And there's obviously a half here, so you're going to have to divide mass in half first. So let's look at an example. So a 5 kilogram ball is traveling at a velocity of 10 meters per second. What is the kinetic energy? Well, what do we know? We don't know kinetic energy. The mass is 5 kilograms and the velocity is 10 meters per second. So if I use my equation, what do I do first? Well, I'm going to divide 5 in half and then multiply 10 by itself, so 10 times 10 because it's risen to the second power. So this is what that looks like. So 5 divided by half and then times 10 raised to the second power. You have 2.5 times 100 or 250 joules. So the kinetic energy of this falling ball is 250 joules. Let's look at the next example. And if you want to practice, you can always pause this and try it yourself. A 7 kilogram bike is traveling at a velocity of 15 meters per second. What is the kinetic energy? Again, we don't know the kinetic energy, but the mass is 7 kilograms and the velocity is 15 meters per second. We simply just plug in those units, right? So that 7 is for mass and 15 is velocity. So my answer is 787.5 joules once I spit that out in a calculator. You know, I just noticed that should say 3. Oy, oy, oy. All right. Click through all these steps here. So what does potential energy look like? Well, potential energy has a lot more friendly of a looking equation, at least I think so. You're just multiplying everything together. So what's easier than that, right? So PE is potential energy, M is still mass, G is the acceleration due to gravity. Remember, you've seen this before, and on Earth, that number is always 9.8 meters per second squared. So you're never going to have to change this unless you went to the moon or some other planet. So on Earth, this G number is always 9.8. And then we have H for height. So a 5 kilogram book is being held 3 meters above the ground. What is its potential energy? And I have seen that the answer I didn't animate, so it's already shown here. But let's see how we got that. So the mass is 5 kilograms. The height is 3 meters. The acceleration is always going to be 9.8 if it doesn't say that we're on a different planet. So we just multiply all those together. And that's what gives us 147 joules. So notice that besides the acceleration, which really has to do with the Earth's gravity and its spinning and all these other things that we don't really have to calculate, it's already been done for us. This calculation doesn't really include speed, does it? That's because we're measuring the potential energy of it falling, but it's not fallen yet, right? So when we look at kinetic energy, it has to do with velocity. It makes sense that there's no velocity for potential energy. Let's look at a different example. A 200 kilogram rock is resting 50 meters above the ground. What is its potential energy? Well, We know the mass and we know the height. So all we have to do is just multiply all these together, and that gives us the potential energy of this rock resting above the ground is 98,000 joules. So when we, especially after looking at that pendulum example from the last video, the law of conservation of energy can be seen pretty easily with mechanical energy. So the law of conservation of energy says that energy cannot be lost or gained, only transferred between objects or change into another type of energy. So let's go back really quickly. So you see how this pendulum, when it's swinging, it's changing, the energy is changing, but it never goes completely 0, 0. So there's always energy happening. It's just a matter of what is it changing into. That's because energy cannot be created or cannot be destroyed. It cannot just go away and disappear. It has to change into something. So, for example, I want you to just rub your hands together. You're creating movement, but even when you stop, you can still feel like a residual warmth, right? So, what causes you to feel that heat? What's happening there? Well, it's friction, right? Your hands are, there's a friction between your hands. Now, there's energy there that was initiated when you started the movement. And because that energy, I mean, your hands aren't going to fly off and keep going, right? They're also attached to your body, so that's another reason they're not going to keep moving. But that friction creates that heat. Let's look at this a little closer. So here's a question. What happens if kinetic energy and potential energy does not equal mechanical energy? Right? What if those numbers somehow don't equal to the total energy that you have there? Well, like I said, energy will never run out or get lost or disappear. So this means the energy has to be changed into another type of energy. So there's two questions on your notes. The first one says, a pendulum doesn't swing forever because it runs out of energy. But where does that energy go then? Once it stops swinging, what happens to that energy? It doesn't just get lost or run out. Well, there's friction between these points. There's also air resistance. So that energy changes into heat and is radiated out. Let's look at a different example. As a roller coaster goes through the track, it loses its energy. Where does that energy go? Imagine a roller coaster going down and up and all these things. It can never really maintain its maximum speed. And why is that? It's not just because, it's going through the loops and what is another factor there? Well, think of the friction on the track, just like your hands rubbing together. The energy transforms into heat because of the friction on the track. So those are two examples of, I think the pendulum, you could probably see it a little easier, of there's other forces, there's other ways that energy can be converted and changed. And it makes calculations a little complicated, but fortunately, we don't have to calculate them. We're just doing the more simple problems of kinetic and potential energy. But just know that in reality, all the things around you, energy is being transferred, it's being changed into other types of energy, and whether that's visible or not is the hardest part. Mechanical energy is very visible. Something's falling, and then it's at its most bottom, and then it goes back up, right? A pendulum is a very visual way to see potential energy and kinetic, but most things on this earth are very hard to see the energy change unless you are looking for them. So on your, actually this will save for tomorrow. So that is it.